Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Fireside chat with myself, Neil Parsons, and Sidat. Today, we're going to be exploring the key themes set to shape the UK accounting market in the coming years. To do this webinar, we're drawing on the insights from our recent Future Ready Accountant Survey that was conducted globally by Wolters Kluwer. So just to do a few quick intros, I'm Louise Profit. I'm Key Accounts Director for Wolters Kluwer in the UK. Neil, do you want to introduce yourself?
Morning, Lou. Thank you. Morning, everybody. I'm Neil Parsons. I'm the Managing Director for UK and Ireland at Wolters Kluwer. All I know about is accountants. I used to work in practice. I used to work for another competitor, and now I've been at WK for the last 8 years. So hopefully, looking forward to a nice chat today.
Mo?
Hi, Lou. Hi, everyone. My name is Mo Sidat. I'm the Product Director at Wolters Kluwer. I've been working at Wolters Kluwer for 2.5 years. And like Neil, I've also been in the industry for a competitor for another 12 years previously. And I've also worked for some marketing tech companies and some property tech companies in the product world as well.
So loads of experience on the call. Before we kick off the chat with Neil and Mo, I just wanted to say a big thank you for all of you who've sent some questions in prior to today's session. It's really useful when people do this because it helps us shape the webinar content so we know it's a bit more pertinent to the people who are taking time to attend. So thank you for doing that. If you didn't get a chance to do that or you've thought of anything else, we love to invite our audience participation. And on Zoom, if you can use the Q&A button, we'll try and cover those off at the end should we have time. So I'm going to jump straight in then, Mo, with you on the topic of AI in accounting and how UK firms are using AI today.
Sure, Lou. So according to the Future Ready Accountants report that came through, it kind of rings true with what I'm seeing in the market as well around AI and automation being key focus areas for firms. And what we're kind of seeing is a lot of people are using these tools to help with efficiencies, help with accuracy around the compliance process. And how this kind of manifests itself is mainly around data entry and accuracy of data. So what we're seeing is accountants and firms using AI to collect data, bring it into a data lake, cleansing that data, and then being able to auto-populate tax returns. So that seems to be a very big use case that we're seeing. The other elements that we're seeing is by having the data in cloud available to the AI systems, they're able to do more predictive analytics as well and do some financial trend analysis and reporting on this. So that's another sort of big area that we're seeing. And they're also utilizing it to help with their customer experience with their clients. Be it have customer service chatbots that kind of help with the first line of queries they get in, or by helping with more sort of personalized marketing content and collateral. So they're just some of the few kind of areas that we're seeing for AI as it is now. But AI is drastically changing on a regular basis. So there could be further use cases coming up in the near future.
Yeah, it's definitely a topic that we're hearing more and more as we're speaking to our customers. And there's so many benefits with AI adoption. And at Wolters Kluwer, we've got, a whole range of different sizes of customers, right from the key accounts all the way down to small sole practitioners. So just thinking really about those small firms and what practical steps they can take to integrate AI, but in an affordable way.
Yeah, so what I'd probably say is start off identifying what are the areas of your business that you want to improve or make better. So there's a lot of use cases for AI at the moment, but think about where is it that you want to add the most value or you want to streamline the most, and then start small and then scale from there is what I would say. You can get inundated with AI across your whole tech stack, but start with that. The other bits that I'd say is you don't have to build your own AI large language models or anything like that yourself, which can be quite costly. A lot of software vendors are building AI into their tools. So have a look at what's available out there and whether that helps with your use case. And the other bit is, like I said, once you've done 1 or 2 use cases, build upon it and then do the next thing and the next thing. So you don't have to start with everything in one go. You can start small and then scale up and see whether it is bringing the results that you hope that it would be achieving for your firm.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I suppose, Neil, if I could just ask you around the talent gap, this is one that comes up all of the time. People are always asking us questions about talent gaps within the sector and thinking about, AI and how that's going to be automating so many of the tasks within a practice. What sort of impact do you think that's going to have on the next generation of accountants and how potentially they're going to develop their functional skills?
Thanks, Lou. It's a good question, this one, and one that's quite close to my heart. When I worked in practice, um, I'm pretty sure I had a desk and an adding machine and a 19-column cathedral notebook. So either I'm showing my age or they didn't trust me with a computer at the time, right? But like, it's very easy to throw AI out there and ban the term around, but not be particularly relevant. So, like, I think AI, it's definitely transforming the accounting industry, but specifically for entry level accountants and juniors in firms, the same thing applies now that I think applied to me 24 years ago, right? Is that the foundational skills are still absolutely essential for the long-term success, right? So whilst automation can handle repetitive tasks, like human judgment and problem solving and communication skills, they're vital to understanding the context and then making the decisions and building the trust with clients. Otherwise, like, we would all just get our tax returns done by the cheapest possible firm in the country, right? And we'd never meet anybody. So there's a number of ways where sort of the new entrants or the entry level accountants can develop foundational skills here. Like, one is, as I said just then, mastering the basics and the accounting principles. GAAP and IFRS is key, and automation tools require sort of strong understanding of these principles to ensure they're correctly applied or interpreted. So, the old adage of rubbish in, rubbish out, right? We need to be able to interpret that data. So even with automation, working through real world accounting problems and using software, whether that's sort of bookkeeping software, Xero, QuickBooks, Sage, as an example, we still need to develop our technical skills. It gives experience in identifying the errors and discrepancies that maybe AI might miss. So for me, it's all about, there's a phrase which we see bandied around a lot at the moment: AI won't take your job, but accountants using AI will. Like, I think that's a bit generalist, really, but, AI can't build a relationship with a client. It can't communicate complex financial concepts to non-experts. So it will, though, do a wonderful job automating repetitive tasks and excuse me, trying to interpret information. But ultimately, the human is on the hook for the information it gives to the customer, right? So I genuinely believe there's space to grow. I think that the new talent in the accounting industry should really have an objective within their within their plan for the year or the years, to stay updated with technology, to understand how the automation will work. I definitely think we should look at tools like RPA, robotic process automation. Excuse me, should have got a glass of water before we started. I think that the oversight is the key. I mentioned it before. It's all good for the solution to do the work for you, but if you don't give the proper oversight, have the proper knowledge to apply that information, then it's only as good as the information which comes out. So in the short term, it might reduce the number of entry level positions in the market, right? There are positions in our industry that are manual data entry positions. So AI will likely more augment our role rather than replace them completely. There'll be a shift, to evolve to more higher value work, more human centric work. In essence, there might be some job displacement in the accounting industry, in my opinion, but the rise of AI will also open up new roles that require a combo of financial expertise and technological know-how. So let's look at it as a positive. The robots aren't taking over, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it is generally a positive when you think about the next generation, and AI is something that they're growing up with, really. So any accountants, as you said, who are adopting it will automatically become more attractive when they're going into that talent pool, because they'll have different aspects to talk about and different opportunities within their firm that will definitely make it more interesting at that entry level. So those are the sorts of things that we're seeing, I think, as we're speaking to people. God, you've passed your cough on to me now, Neil. Thanks for that. I was just thinking, really, I mean, this one is as old as time or as old as me. And I remember back to sitting in a typing pool talking about innovating and everyone potentially having a PC on their own desk, really. So people, think about AI and this reducing the overall employment levels within a firm. But I think you struck on it before. It'd be more about restructuring and creating new opportunities. So I don't know if you've got anything extra to add on that.
Yeah, I think so. I think, at risk of repeating myself, it's likely to both reduce certain traditional roles in our industry, but also create new ones. So, the impact on the employment levels will probably net each other out, in my opinion. I mean, how the industry adapts and takes on specific tasks that AI takes over versus the new role it creates, will probably balance each other out. I mean, if you look at, in breaking it down a little bit, the potential reduction of employment, like we're worried, aren't we? The computers are going to take over. It's like a film, but it will take over in the automation of repetitive tasks. I can't emphasize that enough. Tons of routine accounting tasks like data entry, reconciliation, basic reports are highly repetitive and rule-based. That's what AI is built for. There will be efficiency gains. So, like with streamlining the functions using AI, firms might not need as many people to manage tasks that were once required a high level of human involvement. Certainly in larger organizations, it could lead to downsizing in specific departments, or as automation handles what was once a really manual job. But conversely, I can definitely see how the advent of this technology will create new opportunities in the market. So again, a tale as old as time is compliance is dead. Everything's where advisory is. I mean, I think that's quite a lazy statement and quite naive, really. But as AI handles these routine tasks, accountants can shift towards more strategic and advisory roles. For example, we can focus on interpreting the AI-generated insights. We don't do that today. It's an opportunity within the market. It will certainly help us optimize financial strategies within the industry and add more value from an advisory point of view in that respect. The introduction of AI could spur new legal and regulatory frameworks surrounding its use. So could it create new roles for professionals who understand both accounting but also AI regulations? Moreover, tax laws might evolve with the use of AI, which could lead to specific tax advisory roles. So I think there's a balance of effects, really. In the short term, it might reduce the number of entry-level positions. I think we all know that, right? But that shift will require us to evolve and focus on more high-value work. I think there might be some displacement, as I said before, but I don't think it's a complete reduction in employment. I think actually they'll balance themselves out and the effects will be quite welcome to most. None of us trained to become an accountant to sit and do repetitive tasks on our own. I think I saw something the other day which is quite interesting. Like, I don't want AI to write my book for me. I want it to put the washing on and make me dinner. Like, I want to concentrate on what I'm good at. So I think, power to that, really.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of great opportunities in that. You mentioned advisory services, and again, this is a topic that we hear a lot about in the UK, and certainly something that came up in the report. I mean, the general feel is that the shift from compliance to advisory is accelerating. What do you think is driving this change?
Technology, definitely. I think the shift from compliance to advisory services is a significant trend that's definitely gained momentum over the last few years. There's tons of factors driving the change. Firstly, I think that the report we've released recently, the Future Ready Accountant Report, which, by the way, was something we did in another part of our business, the Future Ready Lawyer Report, gained a lot of traction. I think it opened up quite a lot of interesting statistics for us to spend a lot of time breaking down. But one of them was definitely this, like a shift from advisory to a shift to from compliance to advisory. Sorry, excuse me. I think, like, firstly, we can't move to a shift in advisory without something automating the compliance process to give us that information. So here's where AI is a real use case. You know, the rise of automation and AI, again, dealing with those routine tasks gives us the time. Number one, we'd all like to move to higher priced, higher fee work, but the work still needs to be done. So I think, you know, there's a huge benefit in AI doing that for us. There's also probably quite a large change in client expectation. You know, I think clients are increasingly looking for more than just compliance and bookkeeping services. As I said before, that part of the market has always been a bit of a race to the bottom, but it's even more apparent now. So changing technology, businesses need accountants who can help them navigate complexities of modern business environments, not just tick the box, see them every 12 months, send a fee note out. There's also things that, you know, I think increasingly businesses ask of our industry, which they've never asked before. You know, they want guidance on topics like financial strategy and mergers and acquisitions and investment decisions and cost optimization, not just, can you view my tax return and get my bill down, please? So I think, you know, we're increasingly being asked to deliver more as practitioners in the industry. Regulatory is changing, you know, so, you know, not everyone's an expert in the latest regulations. You know, tax laws, financial regs, reporting standards become more complex and dynamic. So clients need specialised advice on that area for sure. I think certainly increase the demand for professionals who can interpret the laws and regulations in a way that benefit the organisation. And then, yeah, I mean, you know, talking a little bit more about data-driven insights, the explosion of the big data and sophisticated analytics tools is definitely providing accountants with the access to vast amounts of data, which they didn't have previously. That allows us to provide our clients with more real-time insights, more predictive analysts. You know, I think I was probably beating this drum 10 or 15 years ago in my previous role, is that, you know, in the real world, you can't make that decision to capitalize that item or make that spend 5 months after the year end's closed out. Like, real-time data has given us the ability to make decisions which will affect our figures and profit within the business in the year rather than post. So I think that advice is invaluable to the small business, if not the large organisation. So there's absolutely tons of stuff going on, Lou. But in conclusion, you know, I think that shift from compliance to advisory is driven by technology and innovation, but also by changing client needs and evolving regulations. So automation takes over time-consuming tasks, tick. The transition is opening up a new career path and enhancing the role of the accountant. We've always been the most trusted business advisor. So we just need to focus on creating more value and checking the boxes for compliance.
Yeah. Do you think there's any strategies that firms can, you know, use to expand their advisory services using AI and automation?
Yeah, definitely. I think expanding those advisory services using AI requires firms to leverage the technology in ways that enhance their ability to provide the insights, not just doing it for the sake of it because we all hear that that's what we need to do. So clearly it can automate routine compliance tasks. We'll probably leave that one there because we've said it enough already. Yeah. But I think the strategy, you know, the real-time strategy, the real-time financial monitoring and reporting is something that can, you know, if you look at the Microsoft stack now, Power BI, and the ability to get your hands on the data in real time as it happens, it allows our customers, the accountants of this world, to provide clients with live access to financial data and other key metrics, which also feels like a bit of a metronome, like a continuous advisory service. So I don't think we need to sort of flag it as, now is our advisory time, and I'm going to talk to you about my advice. You know, I think actually if we put the right strategies in place, that continuous advisory through data and through analytics, which the client isn't used to and doesn't have currently, is a real way, is a real strategy. I think there's other stuff AI can be used for really strongly. Is sort of risk management and fraud detection, and leveraging that sort of rules engine. By using that machine learning algorithm, firms can detect anomalies or activities or fraudulent activities, again in real time, and start mitigating those risks. That's what I think that's what will keep me awake at night the most in a big organization is the potential threats around fraud, the threats around cybersecurity, and all that stuff that can just ground the business. I do believe that AI will be able to accelerate that and help us do that. Lastly, there's probably two strategies around AI, really, two, not lastly. One, personalized tax plan optimization is certainly something which AI will help. It'll help us analyze past financial data, predict future tax obligations, and make some of those tax saving recommendations. And then lastly, I think, what's at the heart of all this, the customer's at the heart of all this. So can we implement some AI driven chatbots and virtual assistants and real-time advice we can give to the client without them having to almost use your time. So I think there's firms that successfully integrate AI into their advisory model will be sort of better positioned to help clients navigate quick questions that perhaps don't always need that one-to-one face time. So yeah, there's tons of it. They'd be my key takeaways, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot that can be done, and we're talking about AI a lot here, but there's a lot of technology and a lot of tools that people can implement really to build out what that strategy looks like, and having all of the data available to them along with the AI tools will hopefully help them identify where they should be pointing that strategy, really, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think with the bigger firms, Lou, where we're perhaps processing thousands or tens of thousands of tax returns, the use cases for AI and RPA, robotic process automation, is clear. A tax return is a tax return is a tax return. So if we can automate the process of collecting the data from our customers, we can then automate the process of filling out the tax return and developing the tax computation to then be checked and inspected. Then, I know we've gone off the advisory topic and more onto the repetitive process there, but there's such a huge use case in our industry. Our industry is littered with repeatable process. So I think, whilst we need to focus on advisory, can you imagine if we focus on the opposite and just really optimized everything? The margins in the compliance work could be really something worth shouting about,
Yeah, and if you can reduce those, then it gives you more time for advisory, which has always been seen as obviously a higher ticket price, which is why I suppose people are wanting to expand that as a service offering.
Yeah, definitely. There's a good question in the chat there as well from Anshu, Lou. I'll call that out. How can CCH help us automate some of the tasks, right? And that's exactly it. That's exactly what we're talking about there, is that actually can we automate the ingestion of the data from a tax point of view? Could we get to that utopia of a touchless tax return? Can we get to the point where the data is prepared, as you said there, in other accounts prep solutions, and then populating the tax package? Then absolutely, there's a huge use case for pulling the data from. I mean, I will start by saying I don't know why you're not using our accounts production software, but yeah, absolutely. There's a huge use case there for pulling the data from a competitor solution, populating the tax return, and moving through the process. Absolutely. So we can certainly help on that front, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, I was just moving my screen around because I couldn't see the questions. I talked about Q&A and it's appeared in the chat, so I did wonder where you'd gone there, Neil. So sorry if I lost a little bit of focus then, but I think you've covered everything in terms of strategically what people can be thinking about and what the opportunities are, and then gone ahead and answered one of the questions in the chat as well. So from the report that we've been looking at and we're talking about today, UK firms are focusing more on digital transformation. And we know right now, I definitely know from the conversations I'm having with my customers, which are, the top 10 firms in the UK, MTD, making tax digital, is a really, really hot topic. So, Mo, I'd just like to ask you really, because I know we've done a few meetings together around MTD, around AI, around other processes that we're implementing. How do you see the role of AI in MTD, compliance, and the other regulatory reporting? I know Neil touched on that a little bit, but it'd be good to hear what you think.
Yeah, sure. So I guess with MTD, it's now making the tax process a bit more longer and bigger. So instead of being once a year, it's now quarterly submissions. So what that means is there's potentially more work to be done, more kind of data requests from clients, more information that we need to bring it in. So that's where I guess AI can really help, which is that data ingestion that we were talking about. So making it easy as possible for you to get the right data from the right sources from your clients first time without having to go back and ask for this. I've spoken to many accountants, and the biggest bugbear they have is chasing clients. It's always chasing clients. So we need to make it really easy for clients to send us the data in any format whatsoever, because I do honestly believe if we could say just send it in any format, just give us what you have, give us your shoebox of receipts now, just give it to us now, then we'll get it a lot quicker, because there's no thought process there for the client. They can just chuck it to you, and we can utilize AI there. So I know there's OCR and all this stuff, but AI has been proven to do that a lot better. So I do feel there's a big use case there. Also, from our report, we found 51% of taxpayers are aware of MTD. So there's a whole batch that aren't aware, aren't prepped, aren't ready for this. So that's where having these sort of tools will help accountants to get the data in. And then after you get the data in, AI is going to be able to look at anomalies, discrepancies, things that are missing, try and populate your tax returns. I honestly think there's opportunities there where we can utilize AI a lot better. And then the future, you can start looking at tax planning strategies and advisory and all that, because again, instead of, like I think Neil alluded to, instead of getting your data once a year, you're getting it quarterly now. So what's stopping firms and accountants from going back to their clients and talking about, okay, well, I've noticed this has gone up or that's gone down. Let's get together. Let's have a conversation about how we can optimize this area. So, yeah, I think MTD isn't something to be scared of. I think you're going to get more data, more insights. You're going to get closer to your clients, and using a tool like AI over the top of what you're already doing is going to help make it easier, but also get more insights.
Yeah, brilliant. So again, going back to some of the meetings that we have, what sort of best practices have you experienced as we've been speaking to firms that we can share to ensure, secure AI adoption? We've spoken about this at conferences. I've heard you stood up speaking about it. So the security of AI adoption is a big subject, but while still meeting regulatory requirements that are probably set down by one of the resources that we work with, whether that be HMRC or someone else.
Yes, I think with AI and like with any system, you're going to have your sort of robust data security measures in place. So always check where the data is going. If you're going to use a provider, find out how they're going to be handling that data. Make sure. So whatever your sort of risk strategy is to how you manage your clients and your data, when you're taking on a solution, make sure it kind of matches up. So you're not kind of going against that, and then just having regular audits, because software is changing. Everything's moving at a faster pace. So just make sure that these systems that you're integrating in are doing what you need from are meeting your security measures. And then there's vulnerability testing and data privacy things that you should also look at. I think Neil mentioned earlier it's worth investing in some sort of resource and staff in that sort of area, because there's just more software out there, more data going out there. So there could be somebody who's tasked with making sure that all that is always reviewed on a regular basis. And the other bits I'd say is about staff training. So, there's loads of these tools out there, ChatGPT, Copilot, etc. Giving your staff training on what is allowed and what isn't allowed would be good to do. Like at WK, we have a very set rule of what can go out into public domain. We have Microsoft Copilot in a lockdown version for WK, and you can put anything in there because we know that's staying within our company. But we've been told we can't use external GPT for customer data, customer comms, any sort of specific sensitive information. And I think that's important to do because people see the benefits of ChatGPT and how it's going to make their life easier, and they might start going, I'm just going to stick the last year's invoice in here and just use that to create next year's invoice. Well, that's now train the model. So you need to give your staff training that sort of stuff may not be allowed if that's not what you want to do.
Yeah, I think it's really important, and just, drawing on our own experiences of speaking to my son, who's 21, who thinks, he's going to hate me calling him out on here. I should have done it by name. But ChatGPT can write you an application letter to go and do this. So I think naturally, people are inquisitive at all levels. I'm not just saying it's the youngsters. There'll be people who are really into technology that will go and investigate. And where I've seen, the security issues coming up is potentially where practices have delayed the implementation of AI, thinking that that's going to secure them. But people are naturally inquisitive, and what you want to protect, I suppose, as a practice, is people just putting things out there on the web. So as you said, at Wolters Kluwer, we've chosen a very locked down way of introducing AI so people can get to use the latest technology, but equally you're upholding your standards as a business. And that's probably the biggest thing I think we've seen as we're speaking to people, because AI adoption is pretty key, isn't it, moving forwards? I think everyone's keen to use it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think, look, it's not something to be feared, but I think it's just giving the guide rails on what can be used and what can't be used. There's certain things that, you could use ChatGPT for now, and it'll help you with your job, and it's not customer sensitive data or anything like that. So it's a great companion to start off your thinking of how you want to do stuff. I've used it myself for, if I'm going to have a presentation or something, just give me some ideas. And it's a good co-worker to have next to you, but I'd never put in any sensitive customer data in there as an example. So it's just that level of staff training so people know, because it is a new technology. And like with any new technology, people need to know the benefits and the pitfalls.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So thinking, going back to the report a little bit, and one of the other subjects that we covered was around business and economic growth and the outlook for UK firms, things around their tech investment, for example. So how do you think small firms should position themselves really for growth in 2025? So I can't believe we're saying 25 this year, but this year moving forwards, where should they position themselves?
Yes, I think we've still got an opportunity to utilize cloud solutions. So I think in the report, the adoption of cloud solutions was still very low. These sort of solutions are now in the market. They're more kind of mainstream. They bring a lot of opportunities for kind of saving costs with servers and not having to worry about IT systems and kind of security and all that stuff. So that is definitely utilizing some tools that are out there that can free up time to do other stuff like advisory and compliance. And also like utilizing these AI and automation tools that we've talked about. They are here. They're going to be staying. Things are moving at a fast pace. As an example, ChatGPT we talked about, it only got launched in 2023, I believe, to mass market. And last year they had 3.8 billion visitors in a 30-day period using their system, which is like, I've never seen any software that's had that level of adoption in my entire life. And it's just getting bigger. And then DeepSeek has come on, which is another AI model that's apparently makes AI automation, large language models a lot easier for anybody to now build stuff off. So I can just see more and more innovation in this space coming in. So keep on top of it, but just be mindful of what you want to do with your firm. and utilize it where you see. And use these tools to kind of help your customer experience. I'd say, it can help you be a bit more personalized with your clients. So instead of giving a cookie cutter response to everybody, you can use AI to kind of really understand the dynamics or demographics of your customer base and try and offer a bit of a tailored solution. So I think that's what people are going to see more of now with the use of these tools, because it frees up more time for this sort of stuff.
Yeah, and I think with tech investment, spend where you can spend, be aware of what the localities of these solutions are as well, because you mentioned DeepSeek there, and, the impact that potentially will have for, the change in how people really adopt solutions in their local market. So just trying to stay at the front of all of this. There's a lot of information, obviously, to consume as a business owner, but, you stick with your trusted vendors and suppliers. And we, bring you this sort of intelligence via reports and surveys that we do, or webinars, to keep everybody at the cutting edge, really, of what other people are using, so they can grow from their peers using the, Q&A sessions within here. We hope to bring our clients and customers together, and even prospects, and hopefully that will, enhance the experience for the small firms and help them with that growth moving forwards. So another subject very close to our heart, Neil, the consolidator market piece. This is significantly accelerated. I mean, it's been around for a while, but we definitely at Wolters Kluwer are seeing a lot of this. I know you've been really involved. So the firms that we've worked with, and thinking about the acquisitions that they made, how do they manage a smooth integration of those new acquisitions into the main group of companies?
Thanks, Lou. That's a loaded question, isn't it?
There's a lot to talk about, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, and I think it's a great question from somebody prior to this chat, right? So hopefully whoever's asked it is in the audience. I think, considering we're talking about technology and AI, the question of how can firms integrate new acquisitions smoothly, technology is such a small part of it, in my opinion, that it feels strange to talk about this when we're talking about technology. But it's a huge change management piece. We're seeing, as you said, Lou, we're lucky to count the majority of the large consolidators in the UK as customers of WK. So we're living and breathing that acquisition and merger of firms and merge of data and merge of technology and merge of everything else, right? But really, if we take it back to the human level, you have to develop a clear plan for integration. So we see acquisitions which are rushed. We saw loads of acquisitions which were rushed just before the capital gains threshold changed last year. Not rushed, but pushed through based on the benefits. But so before finalising any acquisition, it's really important to have a comprehensive integration plan in place. It's really important to, depending on the size, it's really important to have a project lead on the firm side which doesn't carry a fee target, in my opinion. All too many times we see somebody with a fees target and a day job take the project on and then run out of time and burn out. We see that happen a lot. I've seen that happen in the last few years. But outlining that comprehensive integration plan and creating a detailed roadmap that outlines the milestones and the timelines and the responsibilities and define the objectives of that integration is the most important thing. One of the most important things. I'd actually say that probably the most important thing is aligning the cultures within the companies, because not everybody does everything the same. Not everybody's leader leads in the same way. Not every business has the same customers. So one of the biggest challenges when it's not just accountancy, when two sets of people are banged together, how do we align the culture of those two organizations? If the cultural fit's already really strong, then that's fabulous. But if it isn't, it can lead to employee disengagement, turnover employees, comms breakdowns. So we need to, I think, go into that merger or that acquisition of new firms, understanding the existing cultures of the firms, try and identify some common values and differences, and be really open about the vision and the values and the expectations post close. Quite often you'll see acquisitors or consolidators in the market bring firms in that use a completely different tech stack. More often than not, luckily for WK, we're generally the consolidated solution of choice. So very often we're bringing in new ecosystems, new sets of data, different ways of working into the CCH way of working. And if we're not upfront in terms of communication, in terms of how this is going to roll out, it'll lead to a little bit of dissent, really. So it's all about transparency, isn't it? Communicating transparently and frequently, by the way. So even if nothing's happening, let's let people know nothing's happening, because we can always make assumptions, and misery's got good friends. So we need to make sure that people are always up to date with what's going on, even if nothing's going on. Otherwise will lead to confusion and fear, uncertainty. It affects morale, it affects client relationships. It also, in these acquisitions, is really easy to forget the customer. So I think it's really useful. Everything that we do at WK, we try our best to always have somebody or a customer act as the voice of the customer in all decisions. It's super important to make sure that we're not forgetting that and what we're actually here for. So establishing clear communication plans, establishing pre-acquisition plans and what the integration looks like. We then need to come on to technology, of course, and the firm should evaluate and standardize processes and systems and technology. Let's not forget a lot of the acquisitions are built by private equity money. And, part of that is, at some point down the line, a resale. And, how do we make those businesses more profitable? Very often it's by streamlining processes and systems and technology to reduce any inefficiencies. And that will involve in consolidating accounting platforms, CRM tools, financial reporting tools. So I think the key is to spend enough time assessing the technology and the platforms before making any decisions. Then for any of the firm owners out there, retaining key talent during acquisitions, employees can get concerned about job security, roles in the new firm, high turnover will disrupt operations, but, identifying key employees in both organizations, make sure we retain them. Is it compensation? Is it career advancement? Is it clear roles post-acquisition? That sort of stuff's super important. And then not forget the customer. I think that the heart of everything, let's not forget that the customer today now has a new firm looking after their affairs. We talked earlier on about how important the accountant is in this relationship as a trusted advisor. Has your trusted advisor just changed his brand? What does that mean to you? Will I get the same service? So we need to foster that client-centric way of thinking, in my opinion. But it also then offers loads of opportunity with growth, and with bigger scale businesses, gives more opportunity to add more services and get more value from your accountant. So, there's tons of stuff here. Just get prepared for it. Be prepared for a long-term transition. With any strategic client-centric approach, we can maximize the potential value of the acquisition, but we can also damage it if we don't get it right in the first place. So you're right, Lou. It's something we're living all the time at the moment. As I said before, we're really lucky to be in a position where the consolidator part of this market and the private equity, which has been introduced in the last few years, has gone our way. And it's great to see that our solutions can scale to meet that demand. But nothing would happen if we didn't have a strong change ambassador in the firms which we work with.
Yeah, it's really important, I think. As you said, you can focus on the technology piece of it all, but that's just one component. You and I were around in the early 2000s when we were acquired as a small software house into a much larger model. And at the time, I think, it's the people, isn't it? And the people's decision and their thought process about what's going to happen to me. Most people will think this is a great thing. I've suddenly got this new brand name, but there will be people underneath it who are really, really valuable to the business and be really valuable moving forwards that are a bit uncertain about what this means for them. And it loops back, to that talent pool and taking people on the journey with you. So it's easy to think about technology, but it's all encompassing. It's the whole practice, and then the clients of our customers, the accountants, what does it look like for them? Are they, thinking because they've got a bigger brand, or all of a sudden fees go up? And, fees might go up, but what is the benefits that come in that package as well as being part of a bigger organisation? So, yeah, having that ambassador within your practice that can help is definitely something that would be useful.
Absolutely right. Good question, Lou. One that we're living and breathing all the time. And yeah, thanks for name checking the fact we've known each other for 25 years now, Lou. Yeah, we were acquired. I think they acquired us 25 years ago, not the software.
Well, we only met because we were acquired before that.
That's right.
So yeah, that was one more acquisition. So we've been through it a few times, but as people who've lived through it and come out the other side, I think it's always important. It's something we speak about all the time, to think about the people that are in it, because the people are the greatest investment that you'll make as a business, and it's to look after those people. So I don't know, because my screen's kind of going all over the place, but at this point I really wanted to go to any questions that we've got. So I don't know, Mo, Neil, if you've spotted any questions that are in the chat.
No, not really. I think everybody's incredibly enthralled in what we're saying, and just not to ask any questions. Either that, or they're all doing something else. But no, I think we answered a quick question about how CCH can help automate some of the routine compliance aspects. Fozia, you're absolutely right. Self-serve by client sounds wonderful, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, unless anybody's got any other questions, we can thank you for your time and participation. Really, I think.
Yeah. Okay. We did get a lot of questions before. As I said, we built this webinar around those questions, hopefully answered those, but we're always welcome to continue the conversation with anybody who wants to reach out to us. So I just want to thank you all for attending. Neil, Mo, thanks for sharing your thoughts today. We'll share the link to the recording with everyone, and we'll also send a copy of the full report where you've got more insights and topics, some of which we covered off in today's webinar, but really we tried to scale that around the questions that we were asked prior to the webinar. One last ask from me and also from our marketing team: as the webinar closes down, you will be asked to complete a post-webinar survey. Your feedback is greatly appreciated. Hopefully it's positive, but do feed any suggestions back to us as well for future fireside chats that you might like to see. And as I said, feel free to reach out should you want to continue the conversation. But thank you so much for your time today.
That was great. Thanks, everybody. Enjoyed that, Lou. Have a good day, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.